We're joined by Randel Carlock, INSEAD Professor. Succession is a major issue for many firms, whether they're family businesses or even for the likes of Warren Buffett. How do family businesses approach this issue?
Family businesses face a double challenge because the succession process not only involves the business, but it also involves the family leadership. So in some ways, there's some good models and thinking for us to learn that can help all businesses. Now, you mentioned Warren Buffett. That's a great example. Warren has waited a long time to find the right person, bringing them on board, going to groom them, and then give them the leadership responsibility. We're seeing this as a key success in the family businesses because they have built-in succession with their next generation of young people.
Well, in Asia, we've got the likes of Li Ka-shing and so on, and they're all looking to see how they can pass on the mantle to their sons, and mainly the sons, actually.
It's mainly the sons, and I'm not sure they're looking, because in the Asian tradition, these senior leaders, these entrepreneurs, it's their business, it's their life, and so it's hard for them to make the transition. And part of it is that it's not really them as much as it is their family. The entrepreneur succeeded by, like I always use the metaphor of playing golf. It was him against the world. It was one person. And what he needs to do, or she needs to do, because there are some women entrepreneurial leaders, is get the family involved. And that changes the game. It becomes much more a game of basketball, or if it's cousins, a game of football, where you have a whole group of people. And ideas like strategy and developing talent and governance become important themes that the entrepreneur didn't have to worry about. To them, it was just a part of their life.
But in Asia, there seem to be a lot of constraints. They would usually pass it on to the first son, irrespective of whether the first son is the most capable.
That was the model. That was a traditional Confucian model based on respect and hierarchy. But it won't be the model in the rest of the 21st century simply because these powerful entrepreneurs have sent their children to places like INSEAD, and they've learned about merit and developing talent and accountability. And so you have a very different, again, the game has changed. It's not golf, what's my score? It's basketball, what's our score? So you may have models of teams at the top where you have siblings and cousins involved in both active board roles as well as leadership roles in management.
In terms of family businesses as compared to publicly listed firms, isn't it too personal when it's within the family? That there are personal issues involved, emotional issues, and the traditional issues as we've just touched upon.
Well, you've just hit on what the big challenge is. The conundrum facing family businesses is that families are about emotions, they're about feeling, they're about caring, and businesses are about economics and performance. And quite honestly, these two pieces don't go that well together. That's why it is so important for business families if they want to succeed. And I'd like to make the point also, important for our larger community and our governments, because family businesses in Asia, in South America, in Europe, in the Middle East, are the backbone of the economies. We have to think very carefully about how these families can plan and strategize so that these transitions are successful and the businesses continue to grow.
In your new book that you've co-authored, When Family Businesses Are Best, there's an interesting chapter at the end about stewardship. You have a number of recommendations and a number of factors. Among them are the notion of family values as being a key determinant. So could you take us through some of these?
Family values are a powerful competitive advantage for family businesses, simply because if I'm competing against a widely traded company with 1 million shareholders, it's potentially hundreds of thousands of different goals and expectations. If I'm with my family and we've taken the time to talk about what values are important to us and how do those values shape our vision, then we've accomplished 50% of the strategic planning process together already, but on top of it, we have focus. We have a clear idea and we're all going to the same place. So values and vision are really a distinctive competence of family businesses if it's done right.
And it's not just passing it on to the next generation, although that is important. I mean, you've got in here teaching your children about the responsibilities of wealth.
And again, in many cases, the family members will not be active in management. It is easy to hire a CEO. There's thousands and thousands of people. It is not easy to hire a shareholder. In fact, it's impossible. Your shareholder, if it comes from the family, means you have to prepare them. You have to give them education about business, education about their family business, and then a lot about the values that drive your family. We argue, and it's one of the few real strong recommendations we make in the book. Most of the book is about process, ideas of things that you can do, but you have to adapt them to your family. We argue that family businesses that think about stewardship have a competitive advantage. That long-term perspective, thinking in terms of 5 years or 10 years, not 1 quarter or 1 year. That alone gives you a huge investment opportunity.
So what for you then is the definition of stewardship? What does it mean to you?
Well, stewardship is in simple terms, it's leaving the business in better condition than you inherited. But not just for your family. It's about your community, it's about your employees, it's about all of your stakeholders. We see stewardship as one of the best practices of successful family businesses because it gives them something to focus on and think about larger than just making more money. It's about the family's legacy, it's about the family's emotional connections, and it's also about spirituality. I mean, why are we on this earth? And a family that thinks in terms of stewardship can answer some of these bigger questions rather than just what's the economic return.
Before we did the interview, you gave me some background information. Among it, you say, we argue that the best family businesses outperform their widely traded competition because they plan and govern based on analyses and logic, but they lead based on passion and personal motivation. Do they really outperform publicly listed companies?
There's some very strong research that shows they outperform. An article in the Journal of Finance compared the family-controlled firms on the S&P 500 with the non-family. And the family firms outperformed on return on investment and in stock price. And these were publicly traded firms competing on the exact same field as all the businesses, all 500 of them. But the family ones were the higher performers. And the point that we make is that good business logic, professional management is important to all businesses. But what we find in the 21st century, and this is bigger than the family business, this is part of our thinking from our Global Leadership Center here at INSEAD, is that leadership is a difference in a successful organization. It's the quality of the passion and the motivation that you inspire in your people. And family businesses have that opportunity because of what they stand for.
You also state family businesses are professionally emotional, but effectively they can be too emotionally attached to a business and maybe afraid to walk away from something.
Of course, and that's why we use the qualifying word, because we use that expression because it is an oxymoron. You know, professional and emotional, we don't think of those two words together. But if a family can have professional practices like a good board of directors, like clear family agreements, but also have the passion about what this business means and what this business can be, then that is the best possible combination. I mean, how many times are we dealing with businesses and we find people who really don't care? In family businesses, they care.
But isn't governance an issue? I mean, because of the accountability part of it, that essentially you may have a family that thinks it owns the business, it is the business. It's difficult for them to make the separation.
But that's the importance of governance. And that is, we argue you have to have family governance and business governance. That governance is more important where there's a lot of emotion and a lot of other connections. If I work as the CEO of a publicly traded company and no family connections, I'm judged by a board of directors who have no interest in me other than my performance as a CEO. If I'm leading a firm with my father and my uncle and my 3 cousins, not only do I have the responsibility to protect my family's assets and wealth, but I've got all the challenges that come with my performance and how I'm rated. A quality board gives me another tool to support me, but also to challenge me in a way my father might not be able to do, and that I can hear that board where I might not be able to hear my father.
Randel Carlock, co-author of When Family Businesses Are Best. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Stuart.